Hi, I here. This is a reading for the sign of Pisces. We're going to do a Celtic cross spread with the Thoth deck, and then we're going to pull 3 cards from the Shadow deck to see if there's any confirmations or background emotions or anything else we might need to see that doesn't come through in the main reading. So let's just see what happens. All right, let us see what messages we have today for the sign of Pisces. So we are channeling Pisces energy, Piscean energy. If that is your sun, your moon, your rising, however you identify with the sign of Pisces, you can always use that as a way to maybe add some color or texture to whatever messages come through. Like I said, I'm going to do a Celtic cross spread, and I'm going to give you my interpretation of what these cards say. If any of that does not resonate with you, if it doesn't feel like it's fitting your situation, as always, do not try to make anything fit. You can always take what works, leave what doesn't. You can check your other placements, or you can just stick around and see what's going on with other Pisces in the world. At the very least, I hope that you are able to enjoy this experience, and if anything comes through to you personally that's above and beyond what I say, use your own intuition to sort of see whatever messages need to come through for you personally. Right, treat this as a sort of self-reflective exercise, and don't force things. Whatever needs to come through, just let it come through as best fits for you. And that's always the key to a good experience with a tarot reading. So, all right, so let us channel Pisces energy today, see what messages come through and what kind of story or situation or insights or revelations come through. I hope you're having a great day so far. I hope that whatever you have planned, or if you're watching this in the evening, whatever you had planned, I hope that you are or were able to accomplish everything you set out to do today. And at the very least, I hope you had an enjoyable day, productive, restful, whatever you're looking for. Okay, so let's see. Let's do one more good shuffle here, and then we'll see what we get in our Celtic cross. So what can we know today about Pisces? What messages can we get today? That feels pretty good. Let's see what we have. So we start off in the present moment with the Seven of Cups. Okay, this is a card of, maybe we need to look more closely at the options in front of us and make sure that something that may seem good on the surface really is as good underneath the hood. All right, so make sure you're not being deceived by the things around you that might seem like good opportunities. Make sure that you're really following the things that are speaking to you, but are also things that are going to be good for your future. So let's see what crosses that is the Aeon. So that is a card of great change. This is like a new era opening up for you. So again, you're in a moment where maybe things don't feel as great as they might have at once felt. Maybe things feel a little stale. The luster that you once experienced, maybe that is falling away, and it's time to open up to something new. So let's get some context for that. So let's see what's happening in our timeline and what's happening sort of internally and in front of us. So in the recent past, we have the Five of Cups, disappointment. In the future, we have the Emperor, so that seems like definitely a positive upward trajectory. In your unconscious, you have success, and what is in front of you, what is in your conscious awareness, is the Eight of Pentacles, prudence, working, trying to make something better. So that is nice. Or I should say, trying to make something better by putting in the time. Your present energy is the Two of Cups, the love card, and that's very nice. Your environment is the Five of Swords, defeat. Great contrast with that there. In what you are worried about or what you don't want, your challenge is the Hermit. And in the likely outcome or the possible outcome, we have the Princess of Swords. Okay, so this is an interesting collection. Let's see what we sort of can glean from this here, what kind of message we can pull out. We're going to look at what's on the bottom of this deck after we go through the main reading, and this will be what we don't see coming. I always like to check this after we do the main reading of the Celtic Cross so we can get a sense of some context for understanding whatever this is that is coming out of left field that we don't see coming towards us. So we'll get that in a minute. Let's first get a sense, though, of everything else that's happening here. So let's get a count of our different major and minor arcana cards. It looks like as far as major arcana go, we just have two. We have the Aeon and the Hermit. So those are both very strong. Oh no, excuse me, the Emperor. We have the Aeon, the Emperor, and the Hermit. So we have three. That's a good, solid number of major arcana. In terms of court cards, it looks like we just have the Princess of Swords up there, the outcome here, trying to sort of cut her way through to figure out where she needs to go and what her path is. So that's good. We'll see where that is leading us through this reading. In terms of our minor arcana, outside of the court cards, well, I guess even including, let's see what energy distribution we have here in terms of air, water, earth, and fire. So for earth energy, it looks like we have the 5 and the Princess are two earth energy, or excuse me, air energy cards. In terms of earth energy cards, we have the 6 and the 6 and the 8th. So we have 2, 2. As far as fire with wands, we have no wand energy. But in terms of cups, we have 1, 2, just the 2. So we have 2 of each, except for nothing from the suit of fire. But I mean, we have the Emperor right here in the middle, being very, very bright and fiery, sort of. So it's not that there's no fire. We just have nothing from the suit of wands here. So maybe that's sort of an underlying message here, is that maybe we need a little spark to get things going to see where we go. So, all right, let's make sense then of the sort of the thread of the story that's being told here. So as I already mentioned, we're starting off in the present moment with the 7 of Cups. This is the card of, things may not be as great as they look. Maybe you have idealized something that looks like it's going to be a great opportunity, something that maybe at once felt like a sort of happy, great, beautiful, shining thing, that now when you look at it, as you get to understand the details of it, it's maybe not as great as it seemed from a distance. It looked like a shimmering star from afar, but then as you get closer and closer to it, you realize it's just a cup of sewer water. I mean, this is literally, you see in this picture, your cups are being filled with nasty green sewage, and that's not really what we want to be filling our cups with, right? That's not what we want to be taking in. But this is crossed, as I said, also by the Aeon. This is the opening up or closing of, really they happen together. It's the closing of one era and the opening of another. This is the end of one period and the beginning of the next. So I think that maybe you are reaching a point where something that you were reaching towards or maybe centering yourself around is now not looking as great and exciting and as positive as it once did. And it's time to close that cycle out and move on to the next thing, which feels right here because in the past we have disappointment, the 5 of Cups. This is some kind of dramatic situation where something came to a head, some sort of emotional, unavoidable emotional situation has caused the cups that you had that may have once been filled with great, beautiful, love and joy, maybe those cups have overfilled, or maybe they were not filled with anything, as if maybe you thought they were filled with something, but instead they really, you looked at them and they're now empty. This is a card of emotional upheaval, usually unforeseen emotional upheaval that then has to be addressed, and you then have to figure out, okay, now that this situation has happened, what am I going to fill this cup with instead? And it looks like what may have been the natural answer to that question does not line up as positively with what you had hoped it would be. But fret not, because the end of one era then gives birth to a new era where we have here the Emperor. Whoever this is, or maybe this is you, this is commanding energy of taking your power and knowing what you want and commanding it and doing the things you want to do, the things you need to do, really being in charge and not having other forces sort of push you around and tell you, like, this is what has to be, this is the way things need to be. No, this is the Emperor. He commands the show. He comes in and tells everyone else, this is what needs to be done. Sometimes the Emperor can be a little bit too empowered. He can be a little headstrong and be a little, sometimes he can lose track of what other people around him are sort of experiencing, and he's so much in the mode of, I have to tell everyone what to do. Sometimes he can be a little bit blindsided, but In terms of on our timeline here of having a Five of Cups followed by a Seven of Cups followed by the Emperor, to me this really speaks to taking back your power. Closing out this bad cycle, entering something new that feels much, much better. And it's fantastic down here that in your unconscious energy, you're fueled by success. This is practical energy about what is in your physical reality. Making sure that you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of so that you can progress forward and be successful with whatever tasks you need to be successful in. So I think this 5 has then led to a realization of what needs to be let go of. And now it's time to open up to new possibilities, new opportunities, and using that practical grounding energy you have here for knowing what works and what doesn't work, you can then enter into the scene as the Emperor and tell everyone this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to be and you're going to do it. And that feels very empowering, especially following, like I said, a 5 of Cups, which can feel like a very oh, what do I do? I don't know what, everything can fall apart kind of energy. So we've got this power of success that's fueling us, and what is motivating us, what is in our conscious, forward-looking energy, what we're heading towards is the 8 of Pentacles, or discs. Again, this is another card of strong practical energy. This is a card of putting in the time to do the work and making sure, maybe the goal ahead requires a great deal of tedious, laborious work, things you don't really want to do, but you know that if you want to get where you need to go, if you want this plant to grow, it's got to do that work. I mean, think about how a plant grows, right? It's just a seed, and eventually that seed sprouts up, and then you just see a little stalk come up, and then slowly it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it grows, and then it starts to bud, and then those flowers come out. I mean, the beautiful story at the end is these flowers coming to bloom, but there's a lot that happens between the planting of the seed and the blossoming of the flower, and that's what this card represents. This is to have that in your forward energy means that you know what the goal is that you want to accomplish and you're dedicated to putting in the time to make it happen. Again, it may not be fun, but you understand that success is what's motivating you, and so if you want to reach that success, you're going to put that time and that energy in to make sure that that really does happen. And when you do that, someone that's willing to put in that much effort, that's how you really embody the power of the Emperor. You're not just one barking orders around. You know what works and you know what needs to be done. And so you're going to, take charge and tell the people around you, here's what we need to do to make that happen. That's really awesome. That's good energy there. So now over here, it looks like we've got some interesting things happening. The present energy, the 2 of Cups, it's the love card. It's not necessarily a card of romance, but a card of coming together. This is a card of union and emotional union, where, typically the 3 of discs or pentacles would be more of the coming together in a union for some kind of, business or project sort of place. This is coming together with other people that you really have a sort of similar mindset or emotional resonance with. It can mean love. This could be, coming together with somebody or something that you're really passionate and coming, sort of refilling these empty cups with that joy. But in general, this is coming together with the things that you need to come together with in order to start refilling all of that empty energy that was lost when these cups were spilled with this 5. Now you're in the present moment of let's get those things refilled, right? Let's refill. Let's find that joy and that love that is fueling all of this very practical energy. The engine needs to run off of combustion and fire and physical parts, but in order to make all of that stuff run smoothly, it does have to have this nice, smooth, flowing water energy, this emotional sort of calmness that allows everything to not just be a very heavy chugging along machine. Like if the Emperor is just coming in and just barreling through and say, you do that, you do that, you do that, no one's going to listen to him, right? There's got to be a little bit of love that tempers that if you really want to get whatever you need to accomplish done. But, this is not the greatest here. We have in your environment defeat. There will be setbacks. There will be either people who are around trying to stop this forward progress of becoming the Emperor. There's setbacks that you're going to have to deal with. There will be defeats. There will be losses. But, you can learn from these. This is a card of air energy. It is thoughts. This is thinking. So even though this is a loss, it's also more so a card of, what do we learn from this experience? I mean, the next card in the suit, the Six of Swords, is the Science card. It's taking those lessons and progressing forward with them. This is just the card of the actual experience that gives you that setback. It doesn't have to mean an ending. It doesn't mean stopping. It just means a defeat. But with every defeat, inevitably, based on how you respond to it, there can then come some amount of self-reflection that can lead to a positive new path forward. And that's here what the Hermit's doing. So you've got this card of love that is then going to be sort of stopped by, whatever things are sort of holding up this forward progress. But from those defeats, you can then take the time to reflect on them, process them, see how those are making you feel, understanding how to use them, and re-channeling all of that negative energy into this motivating, practical energy of success and work and rebuilding and becoming the emperor. So this may not be something you want. This is particularly in the slot of what you're not wanting or what you're afraid of, your challenge. But if you put in that time to do that internal work, that can help you grow and become something stronger and much more positive going forward. So it's not easy work. The Hermit never really looks like he's having a good time, but he's doing the work to build something new. And you even see here there's a little bit of a sort of analogy of a new birth here, right? We see an egg and a sperm here coming together into this star of what is this internal work from this quest, this vision quest that the Hermit is going on when he is alone, will then be birthed some new forward-moving progress. And again, it may be heavy, dark work, but it can lead you to something really good and really positive. And that's what takes us here to the Princess of Swords. This is a young woman who is trying to figure out who she is and what she needs to do in her life. I always like to think of this as being that sort of angsty adolescent energy of who am I and where do I fit in? How do I carve out a forward path of where I fit in with everyone else? Her family in the Suit of Swords, they're all very intellectual. They're very heady thinkers. They're very caught up in, logic and reasoning and what is the sort of the way things have to be because it's the way they are sort of written to be, not emotional, not practical, not creative. Well, I mean, they can be creative and all those things, but focusing more on the logistics and the logic and the thoughts of, what works, what doesn't work. And she is the youngest of that family trying to figure out, okay, where's my place in this sort of big, complicated symphony? And, eventually we have in the future the Emperor, and that's what the Princess of Swords can one day become. Once she can do all of this internal work and figure out where she fits in and what she needs to do, she can embody this power of the Emperor and be something fantastic. So this is great. There's definitely challenges here. This is not easy work, but it's work that looks like it will pay off if you're willing to, face these defeats confidently and be willing to open up to whatever this new era is that's crossing you. So this looks good. Let's see what we don't see coming. We have the Three of Wands. Something is already in motion. So what the Three of Wands represents is, with the Two of Wands, it's like a gateway of beginning a new path into some kind of journey. And with the Three of Wands, this gateway has already been entered in, and things are already starting. They're in their earliest stages. Things are just getting started. The gears are starting to turn, but it's like, you're warming up the machine that then is going to be producing whatever is going to be the next event that's occurring. This is the engine revving up and getting warmed up and ready to go. There's still work ahead, but this is the beginning of something. Whatever that something is, it's in what you don't see coming, so who knows what it could be for you and your situation. But if we're headed towards this energy of sort of, overcoming these defeats, doing this internal work, and finding out how to become the Emperor, maybe there are forces that are already pushing all of this emotion, or maybe this is a representative of not realizing how far into this situation you already are. This sort of regrowth period. So. Again, this is the card that something is happening, something is beginning, and it's time to sort of move into the next stage and get to action. The story has started. Let's start getting into the rising action and start getting things sort of onto the next chapter. So that feels pretty good. Let's see what we get with the shadow deck here. So we're going to pull 3 cards from here and see what we get. Okay, so let's see what happens. We're going to shuffle this, see if there are any confirmations or any sort of emotional revelations that can be made more clear with a few extra cards. Okay, let's do one more shuffle. Okay, felt pretty good. So let's see what we get. We have Justice, the Ace of Wands, there's that fire energy, and the World. Okay, cool. Nice. So the World is the card that follows the Aeon. So the Aeon in the Rider-Waite deck is the this is the Judgment card, right? This is when it's the things that are described in the Book of Revelations, right? When the dead come alive and the new era is opening up. And so what follows that then is the completion of everything, the world. So as the Aeon is beginning or changing, it then the sort of previous story comes to full fruition with the World card. Though I don't necessarily see, I mean, yeah, no, I feel like the World card being on top of the Emperor here does feel very strongly of there is something that needs to come to pass. Whatever this was that's closing out is ending, rebuilding off of that ending, becoming the Emperor, and embracing the sort of full power that is inside of you or whatever you're dealing with here. But it comes from justice, from the negative, horrible things of the past. There is debts that need to be paid, things that need to be dealt with. But in time, all things will be balanced out. Justice can be achieved. New opportunities can come from that justice. And then this can allow whatever's happening to come to its final inevitable conclusion. And sort of, again, we see an egg here hatching and opening up. And I think that is the becoming of the Emperor that occurs with whatever the story is for you. So that's nice. So justice for the disappointments of the past. The Ace of Wands is the new opportunity coming from the realization of these nasty sewage cups that we're drinking from. And the World is the sort of emotional completion, emotional, physical, I mean, the completion of everything. The really embodying the power that comes from becoming the Emperor in light of whatever this situation is. So that's awesome. Let's see, what we don't see coming from the Shadow deck is even better, the Wheel of Fortune. Nice. That's positive luck. I mean, it could be bad luck. It's just luck in general. It's karmic energy, essentially. But it feels like what you don't see coming is, again, new opportunities that grow from whatever this sort of past negative experience is and leading into something much better. Again, not easy. There is heavy work that has to be done here. This is not everything is just going to fall in your lap kind of reading. But it's very much a reading of, you know, if you're refilling the emptiness that's been sort of put in front of you from whatever past disappointments you're dealing with and overcoming any future setbacks by doing this internal work and figuring out how you fit into this whole situation, eventually your practical energy from, you know, the success that fuels you and the dedication to try and get things done appropriately, not cutting corners and doing everything the right way, eventually you can embody the Emperor and you can be the whole world. You know, not just have the whole world, you can be the world that you really want to become. So that's empowering. I hope that was helpful reading for you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope whatever situations you're dealing with that this sort of resonates with, that it leads you to something more positive in the future. And even if this is just some small setbacks in your life, whatever this is that you're dealing with, or any things you have to deal with in the future, you know, stay strong, stay positive, and channel your power, and you will achieve it. Just put in the time to build it, and it will be there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time.